Hey, all you beautiful peeps out there. Thank you for joining me for another debunk. Today I'm going back to Hammy Boy. Just can't get enough of our old Hammy Boy. He is a hoot. Anyway, if you're new, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back, and let's go. But before we start, please subscribe to my channel. If you already know you're going to like this, go ahead and like it, or you can dislike it if you want. Go ahead and leave comments. I love all of your comments and I do read them. And I do not delete comments. If your comments get deleted, it was YouTube that did it. So grab your snacks and probably you need your facepalm gear because we are dealing with Hammy Boy after all. And he definitely is one of those facepalm people. And get comfortable and let's go. Take it away. And while you're thinking about it, if you're new, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button? And if you've already subscribed to me, make sure you're still subscribed because for some reason, YouTube loves to unsubscribe people. Also, if you're new here, I'd like to thank you very much for giving me a chance. And for my fans and subscribers, thank you so much for coming back. You are the lifeblood of this channel. And now, with that, let's get on with the video.
And we have a lot of the technical papers where they looked at all the different kinds of land animals and were able to document and work out how many kinds there are. And what they have concluded that in most instances, not all, but in most, the kind is more the family level of classification, sometimes even order, but mainly it's family.
Wow. Okay, let me get my thoughts together for a second. Wow. Where do I even start? That is stupid. Even for you, Ken, that is a stupid statement. I don't even know where to start with that one. And yes, I am aware that I am going over the same thing I did at the very end of the last video with Ken Ham because I was hard pressed to put the last one out and I really wanted to put the clip about the ring species in just in case anybody needed to be reminded that Ken Ham has no idea what the fuck he is talking about. So now I get my turn to tear up this stupid statement. First of all, you don't get to decide what science you want to accept and what science you don't want to accept because all of science works on the same principles. And if you accept all of the principles that science works on, you have to accept it all. And it sounds to me like you are rejecting science. Shame on you. But, if you want to reject science, whatever floats your boat, I guess. But if you're going to reject science, you can't use our classification. And then there is this stupid assertion that you make that kind is akin to family most of the time, but sometimes it's akin to order. And Ken, darling, there is a huge difference between family and order. Not to mention the fact that we don't use the Linnaean classification system anymore. We use cladistics. And, but I wouldn't expect you to know that, Ken, because, you seem not to know anything past 1960, if that. Let's see. Did I hit all of the stupidity in that remark? Probably not. But You know what? I'm just gonna move on because there's more stupidity, and I haven't even watched this shit yet.
You only need two cats on the ark because there's one family. I mean, you even look at your big cats and your small cats and in between cats and your fluffy cats and all the rest of it. You can tell, you can even tell just looking at them that they're a cat. And you can show they're all interconnected.
Obviously, Kenny Boy is taking cats as a for instance, so let's stick with cats for a minute, shall we? Alright, look at this picture. Everybody knows what this is, right? Everyone knows this is a hyena. But let's pretend nobody knows what this is. What does it look like? So let's put our thinking caps on just for a moment, shall we? I know it's hard for you to do, Ken, but will you at least try? Okay, I can think of at least two animals this looks like. It looks like a dog and it looks like a cat. Which is it? So if you just look at the snout, it looks more like a dog. But would you be surprised to find that if you studied the genetics, that this animal has more in common with cats than it does with dogs? And it's not even in the cat family. And for all my curious peeps out there, this critter is the last extant species of hyenidae. So, if God wanted to save all the creatures on the face of the earth from the flood, he did a damn good job, didn't he? Because there used to be a lot more hyenidae running around. Obviously. Really. Ken, this is the best you can do, pushing off your creationism bullshit on kids because you can't get scientifically literate adults to buy this creationism bullshit. Like, that is really, really pathetic. If it was science, you wouldn't need this.
Happening today. Look at Darwin's finches. There were these different species of finches that had big beaks and little beaks and medium-sized beaks. And look, there's different species of salmon that formed. We see speciation, we see evolution before our very eyes. Well, let's talk about that for a moment. What they call natural selection resulting in speciation is actually the opposite of evolution. Opposite. In the public school textbooks, they'll say natural selection is a part of evolution, and natural selection, adaptation, mutations, and forming different species. Look, let's have a look and let's understand the big picture in regard to natural selection. Stop that there for a moment. That offspring actually has less variability than the parents because it no longer has little a's, little b's, little c's. Right? So it's got less variability than the parents. I'd say less information. It's going to look different to the parents, but all the information came from the parents.
Okay, so what Ken was saying before was we see speciation happening, which is absolutely true. We do see speciation happening. And he's arguing that we don't because it's just variation. You know, just because you relabel something doesn't mean that it's not what it is. Relabeling is just relabeling. Variation means speciation just as much as it did before you relabeled it. So I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish here. And this is where you can tell that either he doesn't understand the theory of evolution or he's a fat liar. And I'm going to go with being a big fat liar because he has a molecular geneticist on site which should know this shit. So If you look at his poorly drawn picture, you're going to find that somehow he equates evolution with getting better and better, which is not what evolution is. Evolution is just being more fit for the environment. And for my creationist friends out there, being more fit for your environment does not mean that you're weaker or stronger. Being fit for one environment can mean that you are totally not fit for another environment. Can even your dumbed down version of a genetics lesson, you know what? Why don't you just let Georgia handle this? I mean, for God's sake, you pay her, she's on the payroll, so just let her handle this shit, okay? I'm sure she can explain it better than you can. At any rate, what you fail to mention, either accidentally or on purpose, is that natural selection is not artificial selection, which, by the way, humans involve themselves in. Natural selection and all that does not concern itself with quote unquote getting better and better, which for some reason you think evolution is, and we keep telling you it's not, and you keep saying that it is. So we know for sure that you're being dishonest with that. But I mean, there are mutations all the time, and some of these mutations are silent until they're not, at which point they become deleterious or helpful, in which case the helpful mutations will be perpetuated in. Ken, please tell me that you don't think that dominant genes are literally represented by capital letters and recessive genes are literally represented by small letters. I wouldn't be surprised, but please don't tell me that. So I'm going to go ahead and make an educated guess here. What he's talking about is Punnett squares and um, trying to figure out what genotypes the offspring of various other genotypes are going to have. So he seems to have left out that very important first step of evolution out of the equation. And I'm pretty sure he did that on purpose. Of course, I can't say for sure, but that's my feeling. Okay. So I'm not going to get into Punnett squares. I just wanted to bring them up because that is my best guess as to what he's talking about with capital letters and small letters. Um, like I said, I'm not going to get into it. Most of you probably know this already.
You look different to your parents, but all the information that built you came from your parents. And by the way, here's just a little bit of an aside here. When sperm fertilizes the egg, that's a unique combination. Did you know the fertilized egg is a unique combination? It's different to the mother, different to the father, but all the information came from the father and the mother. It's a
So let me get this straight. We look different from our parents, but all the information, what the fuck ever that is supposed to mean, you still haven't told us what the quote unquote information is, jackass. Anyway, moving on. Okay. It's supposed to come from our parents. Ken, I know you don't know much about genetics and DNA. To tell you the truth, I don't either, but I know more than you do. However, I know that you have a fucking molecular geneticist on staff, and she should have corrected you. There are, for lack of a better term, copying mistakes all the fucking time within our cells. And these quote unquote copying mistakes are called mutations. And these mutations are what natural selection acts on. And then Ken tries to wow his audience of dimwits. Most of them are probably children, so you can't really call them dimwits. But some of his audience is definitely adults, and they are definitely dimwits. No, not everything is a unique combination, Ken. Apparently, somebody hasn't heard of identical twins, identical triplets, or much, much more rarely, identical quadruplets. Or maybe you have, you just neglected to mention.
It's a unique individual and no new information is added. When are you human? Right at fertilization. And what does the Bible say? We're made in the image of God. A combination of information. It's a foreign body. And you know what the body does to foreign bodies? Rejects them, which is why you have to have medicines if you have a transplant, like a kidney transplant. Did you know God has set up a uniquely designed mechanism so that the body doesn't reject it, but actually accepts it into the uterus to implant in the mother so that the body can develop?
No new information is added. Ken, I know you accept the idea of mutation. I know that because I've heard you say it in other videos. So what the fuck? I mean, somebody had to have the first blonde hair, right? Or maybe your contention is that God made Adam with all the variability in there, being blonde one day and brown the next day and red the next day. But let's leave that alone because I have other things I want to pick on you about. We are made in the image of God. What is the image of God, Ken? Do we all look like God? And if we all look like God, why do we all look so different? And bringing attention to our differences, how can God be so different from himself? Just doesn't seem plausible, does it? Gee, Ken, you ever think about that? PSA people, we are all the same species. We are all humans. We only look superficially different. Do not let our differences stand in the way of our coming together. We have had too much of that. Let's go forward. Now, as for your ill advised, ill informed, blanket statement that God has given a unique mechanism for the mother's immune system not to reject the fetus. I have to ask, how do you know that, Ken? Because, as far as I know, not even the experts know the answer to that question right now. In fact, it seems that, for the most part, yes, that is true. However, 1 to 3% of pregnancies end in miscarriage. And most of the time, there's no clue as to why the pregnancies end in miscarriage. So maybe the mother's immune system attacks the fetus, aka an allergic reaction, thus starting an abortion or a miscarriage, to put it more politely. But yeah, I don't think you can say with any conviction that that's true, because nobody knows whether it's true or not. I mean, if you have the experimental evidence, I would suggest you publish in a journal and pick up your Nobel Prize, because that would open the door to more research to alleviate or actually end allergic reactions, which would be a good thing. Or, at least to keep more babies. I'm sure parents would like that too. Well, friends, I don't want to induce a concussion or a brain aneurysm due to face palms. So I think that's enough stupid for today. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Um, Follow me on Twitter. For some reason, I had to get another Twitter account. So if you're already following me, please make sure that you are following me on my new account, linked in the description, instead of my old account. Um, so yeah, um, we're getting invaded by the stupid over here in America. Don't know about anywhere else in the world, but definitely here in America. Australia, if you want Ken Ham back, I'll gladly hand him over to you. Mm, You know, I can't deport him. I can't do anything. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, maybe together we can get him to go back to Australia. Then you guys can deal with him. Don't forget to hit the like button. And if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. If you are subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed, because for some reason YouTube loves to unsubscribe people. And I will talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. I recently set up a Patreon account. You can follow me over there. I will start releasing patron only content as soon as I get probably about 10 people. So, yeah, follow me over there only if you are in a financially stable position. If you like what I do, please consider becoming a member of this channel. You can become a member for as low as 99 cents a month. You get custom emojis and you get these debunks early. Well, friends, until next time, I bid you adieu, and may you always have stupid to entertain you. Goodbye.